Welcome back from that break, and of course, you are watching Science TV. And tonight, of course, after the news, I'm still here, and I'm joined by a special guest called by the name Kaziri Eid, who is all the way from the Children's of the Deaf Adult Kenya. So we are going to discuss a bit about the state of disability inclusion in Kenya. Has disability inclusion in Kenya improved? Welcome, madam.
Thank you so much. I'm fine, thank you, sir.
Thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Okay.
And maybe you can introduce yourself before we commence.
Okay. You just said it right. I'm Kaziri Eid, a CODA, the short form for Children of Deaf Adults Kenya. I happen to be the chairperson, though it's an international organization, and I lead the Kenyan team. Professionally as well, I'm a lawyer. I'm an advocate for children with disability, and my role specification is on sexual reproductive health rights. And above all, as my mother tongue is Kenyan Sign Language, I'm a champion of Kenyan Sign Language. Thank you.
All those titles on one person. Wow, you're blessed. Thank you so much. So maybe as we commence, I would like to ask you, how is the current state of disability inclusion? Has Kenya's inclusion improved?
We can't complain. Yes, it has. Since 2003, after the enactment of the Persons with Disability Act, there is much improvement. We're not yet there, but yes, there is.
So we have improved a bit.
Yes.
But there are still gaps.
Yes, they are.
Maybe as an advocate, maybe as a champion of persons with disability and inclusion as well. Maybe tell us a bit of some of the gaps that maybe you have noted in the process of your activities.
Okay. The first and foremost could be like public awareness, and that is both way to persons with disability as well as the public in general. Like for persons with disability, it might come maybe from our own families where we come from. A parent might not actually fully, it's a social culture thing. Maybe if a parent is not fully aware or accepting the child who has a disability, it will transit all the way to adulthood, whereby if a child is not lucky, maybe not going to school, may not actually get to benefit from what is already in place in Kenya for persons with disability. And maybe if a person with disability themselves, they could actually maybe have gone to school, maybe are aware, but they at times could face stigma within themselves and also outside society. So with awareness and actually getting to know what you are and what you're worth, it makes it actually easier and lesser on discrimination, because discrimination comes both ways. Yes.
Maybe you have talked about CODA being a Children of the Deaf Adults. That particular organization, do you only deal with parents who are deaf? Or how does the connection between parents and children come?
Okay, unfortunately or fortunately, yes, we are only for parents who our parents have disabilities. As the name says, we are adults, but we also have a sub-organization for kids whose parents have disability, and basically, CODA for K. And basically, we just came up to share our experiences, because it's not easy being raised up by a parent who has a disability, and for us, more specific, the deaf, because we are in two worlds. There's a hearing world and a deaf world, a silent world. So as a kid, you get to wonder, why is my parent this way, and why are my friends like this? So in that process, at times we might face stigma, and even our parents too, they don't know how to handle us. But with those experiences we had, we realized it's good to share them to ease mental health for us, and also to be models for the upcoming now kids whose parents have disabilities. Yes.
All right. Maybe now, speaking of that, when we were engaging with you during the pre-interview, you talked to me about you having parents who are deaf.
Yes.
How was the situation of you growing up as well? Maybe giving an example of you now.
Okay. As for me, my parent is a postlingual. That means she was not born deaf. Acquired deafness later. So on her end, she also had stigma by accepting she's deaf. So I will see kids, and she has speech, but she can't hear. So the only unique thing I would wonder is, when talking to my mom, I have to look at her, unlike other kids who can just talk to their parents. And I really wondered. And funny enough, most of the deaf people are good in English and not maybe their mother tongue. So I would be like, my mom has to speak English. People will be like, are you Kenyan? And I'm like, And when we'll go to the market, this is now where I really felt the sadness of having a parent who is deaf. She could talk, she would bargain things, but when they speak back, she couldn't hear. And people will be like, this lady is pretending she's deaf. It really hurt me, by the way. And that is the point where I said I must learn sign language, though she was against it, funny enough. Yes, and when you actually look a survey around in Kenya, you'll realize most parents don't want their own kids to learn sign language. So actually it is a drive we have that kids for the deaf should actually get to learn sign language, because it will help us talk to our parents better. Because if I could have spoken to my mom easy, I would tell my mom, this thing is wrong, this person is lying to you. Because another very disturbing thing for kids of the deaf is, we are in a diverse society. So when people talk, you can hear. So when your parent comes in, they change tone and they are like very good and kind to them, but at the back they are really cruel. How to pass this information to your parent as a kid? It's really tricky. Yes.
Giving an example of you, how did your parents maybe implement discipline on you when they are deaf? We have parents who can use facial expression as well. Some can even go ahead and hit you. How did your parents maybe implement discipline?
Wow.
Even go ahead and beat you sometimes.
Yes, they did. Actually, for me, I had a military mom.
Yeah.
Yes.
Military.
Very strict, a perfectionist. So it is like when you do anything wrong, as in I will actually freeze out and get scared. Because anything she'll have in her hand, she'll throw it at you. And when you cry and do everything, Mejificha, you're crying. She can't hear you're crying. Now that is the unfortunate thing. So for her, she's like, what's wrong with you? Why are you crying? And I'm like, I don't even know how to explain why I'm crying. I can't even give an excuse as to why I did the mistake. As long as if you are punished, to just take it in. Sometimes you could be wrong. Parents are also wrong, but you can't defend yourself. Yeah.
Now, you have talked about your parents not wanting you to learn sign language. Is it an issue of self-acceptance that maybe they have this particular disability, but they still have an issue with self-acceptance?
Exactly. When I was growing up, I didn't know that until when I was an adult. It's when I got to interact with other deaf people. It's when I realized, okay, I think I used to blame mom for nothing. It is like she was all stigmatized because she was not born deaf. So for her, when I heard her story with her classmates, I got to realize she was living a normal life. Then she gets to a deaf school. She doesn't know sign language herself. And through her course of learning, she had to go to a hearing school, but sleeps in a deaf school. So at times she will feel like, I'm too clever to be deaf, but also the hearing world, I'm still not okay. So this part of stigma, and them feeling like our kids are feeling sorry for us. Actually, that is what most deaf parents will tell me. I talk to them, your kids should know sign language. They're like, I don't want my child to be an interpreter. And I'm like, no. Imagine if I'm a Kikuyu, I get to learn Kikuyu as I grow along. What about you as my parent? I need to learn your language. Yes, so I think with that explanation, there's acceptance to it, but yes. Yes.
All right. Maybe now, when did you start maybe championing for inclusion?
On inclusion, since it was really in my heart when I was growing up. Immediately after my high school, I just came out, and the first thing I did was to actually let parents let their kids learn sign language. It was my first activity that I did after high school. And then after that, it is when I got now to interact with other deaf people, and I got to learn that they really face a lot of barrier in communication. And I joined an NGO that was in Nyeri by then. And this NGO actually was really advocating for the rights of women and girls. That's where I saw the real gap. So when I went to law school, that was my project actually. My dissertation, all my assignments, everything was based on disability, so that I get to know and uncover more about their issues. Yes.
Now, speaking of that still, promotion of inclusion. At home now, we have parents over there watching, and maybe they have issues. They have, people with disability at home as well. Maybe guardians, maybe their children. How do they learn to handle disability? Because we have parents, maybe they have children with disability, and this is something new to them. They have not been able to know how to handle such situations.
Okay. Yeah, it's not easy. Although right now in Kenya, there's a milestone. We have got so many support groups for parents who have children with disabilities. So then maybe what I can echo out to parents is, when you have a child who has a disability, don't shy away or keep away that child. And I think with technology, in case maybe a child is detected before birth that they have a disability, it's very easy for the parent to actually get through counseling and know how to handle that child before birth. But I think with time it can come in, because for now people get shocked. Like I have a friend who gave birth to a deaf son, And after 1 year, my friend was in denial that the child is deaf. But she would tell people, I think there's something wrong with my child. And people will be like, your child is normal. But inside she felt, though it's my first time to be a mom, but my child is not responding. But with the support group and everything, she was able to actually accept her own son. And now they really relate very well. So to me, parenting is a matter of you accepting your own child. And in the society, you'll see a difference between this child who has become an adult, who was accepted by the family. They gave them the love and the support. They come out different vis-a-vis this child who faced rejection. Yes.
Now, okay, maybe before we go for that break, of course, we still want to know, you as a lawyer now, how have you been able to advocate for person with disability by law now? We have people who are sexually harassed there at home because of their situation, people taking advantage of persons with disability because they cannot be able to defend themselves. We will want to know much about that after the break.
Okay, thank you.